Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Now look, back again, y'all. Just like I said, the same day. Back-to-back episodes. I ain't gonna be able to do this all the time, y'all, so don't get to tripping when it get back to what it is. You feel what I'm saying? I just can't do this all the time because the phone calls are 30 minutes, right? So I'm basically having to split up the phone call, then call back, and this is and then they got to do the recording and all that old kind of stuff, right? So hey, and I got to pay for every time I call on, you know what I'm saying, these phone calls. These state calls are not cheap, but it is what it is. That's how I got to run my operation. That's what I'm gonna do. But this story is so good, I didn't want to wait till the next day to tell it. I had to get it all out. You feel what I'm saying? I wanted everybody to be able to experience and feel what I'm feeling, you know what I'm saying, when I was talking to this young man about this. You know what I'm saying? I could feel the anguish that was in him, right? And all the hurt that he experienced. And I wanted to be able to share that, and I wanted to get it all out at one time because keep it in mind, keep it real, y'all. I can't sleep until I get all of this out of me. So I'm going to get all of this out. You feel what I'm saying? I'm going to get all of this out, and I'm going to let y'all hear it. You feel what I'm saying? But this is the thing, right? Now, you know, Tim is in the penitentiary with his daddy now, right? Now, don't get it twisted. You know, they sellers and everything, right? So, while you sellers, when you sellers with somebody, it don't matter who it is, right? You got to be careful of what you say and what you do because that's when you're going to be the most comfortable. Now, his dad has got a real weight on his shoulders. And that weight is knowing that he was willing to chop his own son's head off, if need be, so that he could get out of prison. He was going to testify against his own son. He actually, come on now, listen to me, y'all. He actually helped the DA now get his son into custody. He manipulated his son. Don't, wait a minute. Now, I want you to understand something. I would not want this boy to get shot and killed. You know, when I thought about it, I'm like, well, you needed to turn yourself in. You shouldn't have ran this. I'm thinking about all these things. But then at the same time, I'm thinking about, you know, when I was thinking like that, I understood that. Don't nobody want to go to jail. Let's keep it real, y'all. Don't nobody want to go to jail. It is a harrowing experience. It'll scare you. It'll make you feel all kinds of ways. It's not natural. Listen to me now. It's not natural to freely give up your freedom. It's not in us. It's not in us. So when he made bond, his fight or flight said what? Fly. Fly like a bird. You know what I'm saying? He got on down. So don't sit there and say that you wouldn't think about that if you found yourself in the same situation. Especially if you had means. He was scared, y'all. But his father didn't get him back into custody because he cared about his safety. He didn't. Because I remember when my son escaped, I had the opportunity to talk to him, you know? And the police, when I had the opportunity to talk to Boo, the police had the house surrounded. They were willing to kill my son. And I'm talking to my son on the phone. I said, Boo, turn yourself in. And he said, I can't, Daddy. And he hung up the phone. It scared me to death. They had me in the chapel. You know what I'm saying? It was a big deal when my son escaped. He escaped from the county jail. And he went to a friend's house. He was still young. He thinking he's straight. He wasn't. They had even called the police. They got all the weapons out of the house because they didn't want him to shoot it out. My son was on that. He wasn't finna play with them folks. He didn't want to go to jail. He didn't want to go to jail, but he didn't want to die at the same time. You understand what I'm saying? But when everything inside of you is saying you don't supposed to be locked up. See, prison is an unnatural state, y'all. It's an unnatural state. But his daddy didn't get him into custody because he cared about it. His daddy got him into custody, tricked him to turning himself in because he was going to benefit from it. Was it the right thing for his son to make sure he stayed alive? Yes. But did he do it for those reasons? No. So he don't get no points for that. He don't get no point. He don't get no points for doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. Remember that. You don't get no points for that. Now, Tim is in the cell with him. He's in the cell with him. Don't forget what I said about the deal that Rick had made with the DA. They're working on this. And Rick is in touch with these people every week. Not through the mail. They don't send no mail. They don't want nobody to know he's getting letters from the district attorney. So it's all on the phone. It's all on the phone. And he's talking to these people and they're telling them, we're working on this, we're working on that. And I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to do it. So when I'm talking to Tim, I said, what did they do? Did they take him up for parole early? Did they give him a clemency from the governor? What did they do? What did they do? Somehow or another, they took him up for parole. They took him up for parole, and the DA didn't object to him being released. In fact, the DA testified at his parole hearing and said that he had been a helpful witness in a case that they saw that resulted in a plea deal where 2 people were harmed, almost killed. Now, keep in mind, they didn't say nothing about these 2 people, drug dealers selling drugs to the kids in the community. They ain't say nothing about that. Think about that. That's what this machine does. It eats and feeds off of us. You understand what I'm saying? And when I say us, I don't mean just black people. No. Anybody that's living in the gritty, grimy way in the streets, white, black, Latino, Mexican, Asian, whatever, the machine feeds off of us and we feed off of each other. It's like a self-propelling thing. They don't care if you are a drug dealer or a law-abiding citizen. Turn somebody in and we'll feed off of that. That's what this is. That's what it is, y'all. And that's what happened. And that's what happened. Should we be doing what we're doing? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So don't get mad at the beast for eating you up. That's what I say. You're going to get mad at the system for doing what the system do, but then you want to be out here running up and down the street, selling drugs to kids, robbing, raping, and killing. No. We have to make better decisions with our lives, man. Real talk, man. So now, Rick is waiting on that day. He ain't saying nothing to Tim about it. Nothing. Now, when he goes to visit, because like Tim's mother comes to visit Tim. You feel what I'm saying? Now, keep in mind, she was bringing Tim up there to see his daddy, Rick, years ago, so she's still on his list too. So when she comes up there, the warden let both of them go to visit. So now they're setting up there. Now, they're a family, but they're not a family because Rick has got a girl on the side that he's been messing with for years. You understand what I'm saying? Now, they're setting up her, and now he's sitting there looking at this woman that he's had this child with, and she has no clue that this man is the reason that her son is in prison. And why do I say that? Because he influenced his behavior when he was growing up, when he became a teenager. He started giving him advice on how to do this nonsense. When he got in trouble, he talked to the DA to try to use his own son to get out of the penitentiary. And he even went so far as if it came down to it, he would testify against his own son to make sure that they took him off the streets in exchange for his freedom. But he's sitting right there in front of his own son and the child's mama and his son's mama, acting like everything is cool, like they one big happy family. And you don't think the game gets raw? You don't think the game gets raw? It gets as raw and as dirty as the dirt on the ground, y'all. I'm trying to tell you. About this thing. That's why we got to break away from it and stop doing all this nonsense. But anyway, a year and a half goes by, right? All of a sudden, he gets a call to the office. They got, when I say I mean the parole office. They tell him they're going to take him up for parole. He goes up for parole. He's granted parole. He'll be gone in 21 days. His son is trying to figure out how. How? From his calculations, it's at least another 8 or 9 years before his daddy would be even eligible for parole. So what does his daddy do? His daddy sticks to what it is. His daddy sticks to lying and manipulating his own son. He told his son that he had been working on this case in court and they took some of his time away. Why is that important? Because his son can't verify whether that's true or not. His daddy make sure all his timesheets are put away. What did I tell you early on? Don't forget what I said, y'all. When you in the cell with somebody, you make sure that you watch what you say and put all your stuff away. Because, see, a lot of people to go through your mail and see what it is. Well, Tim couldn't do that. He couldn't do that. He had no way to verify if what his father was telling him was the truth. And the only thing he could do was believe it and be happy, genuinely happy for his father that he was going to go home. Was he going to be sad because he was going to be left in prison? Yes. Yes. But his reputation was going to carry him. You understand what I'm saying? So he was going to be all right, but he wanted to be around his father. And I remember that's how my sons wanted to be. They wanted to be around me. And I understood that. And each time they were around me and then the people grabbed me and shipped me for some nonsense that I was doing, it felt like somebody had taken my heart, put it in their hands and just squeezed it. And I couldn't breathe. So I understand and when I would talk to Montrez and Boo, when I had the opportunities back in the day when I was doing stuff with them cell phones and all of those nonsense, and when I talked to them and they would tell me how much they miss me and they love me, I felt like I had failed them again. All over again. The same way I did when I left them when they were kids on the streets. So I understood what Tim was feeling when he was talking to me, what that made him feel like when his dad was leaving. Even though he was happy that his daddy was going home, he was crushed that he wasn't going to be around his father again. So I understood that. And my heart ached for him. But his father goes home, y'all. His father goes home. Now remember what I told you about how shiesty his father was. You remember that? Now you remember I also told you that he had a girlfriend, right? But when he goes home, he leaves her. He don't want to be with her no more. Pushes her to the side. She ain't nothing. Pushes her to the side. Now when he pushes her to the side, guess what? Guess who he goes to? Listen to me now. He goes back to his son's mama. And they rekindle their relationship. She thinks that she's going to get her family back. She's got the man that gave her her son. They'll go visit their son together. And then when their son gets out, they're going to be back together. And they'll just go on with their lives. That's what she thought. She believed that with every part of her body. Now, y'all know what I'm going to do. You know what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Because when he went there, he had to live with all of the things that he had done and bear the weight of all the lies and the deception that he was living in. When he made love to her, it wasn't genuine, right? It was manipulative. It was deceitful, right? It was selfish. When he borrowed money from her, he was continuing to use her. When he told her he would pick her up from work when he used the car and he didn't show up on time, what was he at? What was he doing? He was using her. That nature of manipulation was all over him. He didn't care about anybody. This dude cared about nobody. He was willing to do his own son in for his own freedom. So the convenience of being with his son's mama was about having a stable situation, because the girl that he was with, the woman that he was with while he was in the penitentiary, she wasn't as stable as Tim's mama. So to him, it was about what's best for him, not anybody else. This woman had held him down. And now that he was free, he didn't need her anymore. Again, he's showing everybody who he really is. He's showing everybody who he really is. But when he looks in the mirror, he don't see that. He sees this dude that's supposed to be smooth and slick. Now keep in mind, when he left the streets, he had 2 bodies. You understand? 8 people he wounded. You feel me? Memories. People that remembered him. People that remembered him, y'all, when he was out there. Now keep in mind, Memories die hard. Memories die hard in the streets. Yeah, while he was gone, people talked him up like he was 10 feet tall. But now that he was back, people were whispering. They were whispering in the back rooms. This nigga, how he get out? What he got going on? Is he gonna pick back up where he left off? They see it. They see he ain't changed. They know something is off. There's one thing about the streets, y'all. The streets have the instincts. Listen to what I'm finna say now. The streets have the instincts of a woman. You know how a woman can peep out when somebody doing something wrong, the boyfriend or husband cheating on them, and all this and that? Yeah, that's how the streets know something ain't right. The streets can smell fear, and they can see deception a mile away. But see, that's what the streets feed off of. Deception, manipulation, using, all this. That's fuel. And Rick was petrol to the streets. But he kept everything all up in the air. There's one thing also about the streets. The streets don't forget, and the streets don't forgive. The streets take. The streets take, y'all. And now that Rick was back out, guess what? It's time to pay the streets. It was time to pay the streets. But to find out how the streets got payment, you're going to have to tune in tomorrow to the next episode to hear this, okay? Don't get mad at me. We've been through this, family. We've been through this. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. Go check out that book if you haven't. Go check out that book if you haven't. Rivals, it's really good, y'all. I'm telling you, it's really good. And don't forget about the movie that's coming out. Love y'all. It's been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. And I say peace, y'all.